The CEO's hidden wardrobe, the door that shouldn't exist. My name is Jasmine, and at 45, I believed I had already survived everything life could throw at a woman. I was wrong. The day I discovered the wardrobe, I was not looking for secrets. I was looking for a resignation letter. I had worked for Alaric Vaughan, CEO of Vaughan International, for 7 years. 7 years of late nights, silent meetings, and an office so cold it felt designed to remind you who held the power. Alaric Vaughan was untouchable, clean reputation, global respect. Magazine covers calling him the most disciplined man in business. Disciplined men don't scare you. What scares you is the moment you realize discipline is just another mask. That morning, my hands shook as I entered his private office, not fear, anger. I had been erased from a major deal I built from the ground up. No credit, no explanation, just silence. His office was empty. He was in Zurich, or so his assistant said. I closed the door behind me and walked toward his desk, ready to leave my letter where he would have no choice but to read it. That's when I noticed something wrong. The wall behind his bookshelf was uneven. Alaric's office was perfect. Every angle precise, every object aligned. But one shelf sat half an inch deeper than the rest. I told myself to ignore it. I didn't. I pressed it. The shelf clicked softly and the wall opened. A hidden door slid aside, revealing a narrow, dimly lit room. A wardrobe. No shrine. Inside were clothes I had never seen Alaric wear. Not once in 7 years. Tailored suits in colors too bold for his public image. Masks, gloves, shoes polished to a mirror shine, but not corporate shoes, performance shoes, and photographs. Dozens of them, men, women, boardrooms, hotels, kneeling figures, smiling faces that didn't know they were being watched. My stomach dropped. These weren't memories. They were trophies. I stepped back, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure the building could hear it. Then I heard a sound that froze my blood. Footsteps. The office door opened. And Alaric Vaughan spoke behind me, his voice calm, amused, and terrifyingly gentle. "Jasmine," he said. "I was wondering how long it would take before you found that. The invitation I didn't turn around." That was my first instinct freeze. Pretend I hadn't crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. My fingers were numb, my pulse thundering in my ears. The hidden room remained open beside me, its contents breathing like a living thing. "I didn't mean to," I started. Alaric interrupted softly. "You did exactly what you were meant to do." I finally faced him. He stood near the door, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, calm as if he'd walked in on a routine meeting rather than a trespass into his private abyss. His eyes flicked once toward the wardrobe, then back to me. No panic, no anger. That terrified me more than shouting ever could. 7 years, he continued, walking toward his desk. 7 years of loyalty, of silence, of intelligence. He poured himself a glass of water, unhurried. "People like you don't stumble into secrets by accident," I swallowed. "Those photos, they're illegal." A faint smile. "Some, not all. You're recording people without consent." "Consent," he repeated, tasting the word, "is more flexible than you think, Jasmine. Especially when power is involved." I wanted to run. Instead, I stood there, 45 years old, experienced, respected, and suddenly reduced to something fragile. "Why didn't you stop me?" I asked. He met my eyes then fully. "Because I needed to know if you would look away." "I didn't." "No," he agreed. "You didn't." He gestured toward the hidden room. "Close it." My hands moved on their own. The door slid shut, sealing the wardrobe back into the wall, as if it had never existed. The click echoed like a verdict. "Sit," he said. I sat. He leaned against his desk. "You were angry this morning. You erased me. I protected you." I laughed sharp, disbelieving. "From what?" "Credit? From being visible," he said. "Visibility has consequences." The room felt smaller. The glass walls suddenly seemed thin. You see, Alaric continued, everyone in that wardrobe wanted something. Promotion, protection, money, influence. They stepped into my world willingly. You're lying. I'm simplifying. He slid a thin black folder across the desk toward me. My name was on it. Inside were documents, performance reviews, private emails, recordings of conversations I didn't know were recorded, my divorce proceedings, medical leave notes from years ago, moments of weakness cataloged with surgical precision. You've been watching me, I whispered, preparing. He corrected. For this moment, I pushed the folder back. I'll go to the board. You won't. Why not? He tapped the folder. Because this story doesn't end with me destroyed. It ends with us. Aligned. My chest tightened. Aligned how? Alaric straightened, every inch the CEO again. I'm stepping into a different phase of my career. One that requires someone mature, invisible, strong. I'm not interested. He smiled, patient. You already are. Silence stretched between us. You found the wardrobe, he said. Which means you now share responsibility for it. That's insane. Is it? He tilted his head. If you walk out and report me, the investigation will expose everything, including why you were in my private office, including the files you accessed, including your silence until now. You planned this, yes. My hands clenched in my lap. So what do you want? He finally sat, leaning forward. I want you to stay, to help me manage what must remain hidden. In return, protection, influence, and the truth. The truth about what? About me. The words hovered unspoken, heavy. I need time, I said. You have until tomorrow morning, he replied. After that, the offer expires. I stood, my legs unsteady. At the door, I turned back. You don't scare me, Alaric's smile faded, just slightly. You're lying, he said gently. And that's why you're perfect. I walked out of his office knowing one thing with absolute certainty. I had not discovered his secret. His secret had discovered me. The contract I never signed, I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the wardrobe, its silent precision, the careful order of chaos. Faces frozen in moments they never knew were permanent. I replayed Alaric's words again and again, searching for panic, for cracks. There were none. At 6:12 a.m., I got out of bed and stared at myself in the mirror. 45 years old, intelligent, experienced, and somehow still capable of being cornered like a naive intern. I went to the office anyway. That was the first proof I was already trapped. Alaric was waiting when I arrived. Coffee prepared the way I liked it. No assistants, no witnesses. You came, he said. I haven't agreed to anything. No, he said calmly. But you didn't run. He handed me a tablet. On the screen was a document dated 3 years earlier. My name, my signature. I laughed. That's not possible. Read it. It was a consulting agreement, non-disclosure, advisory role, discretionary authority. Buried deep in legal language was a clause that made my skin go cold. In the event of involuntary exposure to restricted executive assets, the consultant assumes shared custodial responsibility. This is forged, I said. Alaric shook his head. You signed it during the restructuring crisis. You were exhausted. You trusted me. I remember. You remember the crisis, he replied. Not the paperwork. He tapped the screen. Your handwriting analysis matches. Witnessed. Notarized. The room tilted. So you planned even then, I whispered. No, he said. I anticipated. I stood abruptly. I quit, contract or not. Alaric didn't move. You can't quit a role you don't officially hold. What does that even mean? It means, he said, standing now, that on paper you don't exist. He showed me another file. No HR listing. No public records of my advisory position. My influence scattered across departments under proxy names and shell approvals. You made me invisible, I said. I protected you from scrutiny, he corrected. Power works best when unseen. I felt something break inside me, not fear, but a sickening clarity. This wardrobe, I said slowly. It's leverage, yes. And I'm part of it now, yes. Silence. Why me? I finally asked. Alaric studied me longer than before. Because you understand restraint. And because you know when silence is louder than noise. I should have walked out. Instead, I asked, what happens if I refuse? He didn't answer immediately. He walked to the wall and pressed the hidden switch. The wardrobe opened. But this time, one section was empty, a space the size of a person. Eventually, he said quietly, everyone chooses. My chest tightened. You're sick. No, he replied. I'm honest about how the world works. He closed the door. You have one role, he continued. Audit, control, decide what stays hidden and what gets erased. And if I say no, he met my eyes. Then you become visible. I understood then. Visibility was punishment. I nodded once. Good, Alaric said. Then let me show you something new. He opened a drawer and removed a single photograph. It was recent, and it was of me, standing outside his office, yesterday hand hovering over the bookshelf. You were already being watched, he said softly. And now, he added, you're watching with me. I tipped the photo. My hands no longer shook. When the power tilts power, it doesn't announce when it changes hands. It slips, quietly, patiently, almost kindly. That was my first real advantage over Alaric Vaughn. He believed fear would bind me. He didn't understand what happens to a woman who has already lost everything once before. Divorce, betrayal, erasure. Those experiences didn't weaken me. They trained me. I accepted the role. Outwardly, nothing changed. I remained the invisible presence moving between departments, correcting mistakes no one could trace back to me. Alaric trusted me with access to much access, servers, legal archives, executive schedules. He mistook my silence for submission. The wardrobe expanded. New files appeared weekly. New faces, new compromises sealed and stored. I learned how the system worked, not emotionally, but mechanically. Every secret was indexed, every leverage point cross-referenced. And every secret had two owners. Alaric forgot that. Late one evening, while auditing a folder marked Zurich Private, I noticed something strange. A pattern. Payments routed through shell companies, but always stopping one layer short of total obscurity, intentional inefficiency, as if someone wanted the trail to exist, just not be obvious. I followed it. The trail led somewhere unexpected. Not to victims, to Alaric himself. I discovered insurance policies hidden inside his own fortress, dead man switches. Files prepared for release if anything happened to him. Evidence implicating board members, politicians, international partners. The wardrobe wasn't just control. It was a shield, and shields can be turned. I began copying selectively, nothing dramatic, nothing traceable. Just enough to understand the architecture of his sphere. One night, Alaric invited me to dinner. Public place. Glass walls, perfect optics. You've adapted well, he said over wine. Better than I expected. I had a good teacher. He smiled. Careful. Teachers don't like becoming students. I met his gaze. Then don't underestimate the curriculum. Something flickered in his eyes' curiosity, perhaps even respect. He leaned back. You could have had a different life, Jasmine. I did, I said. You erased it. No, he replied. I refined it. That was when I knew. He didn't see me as human. He saw me as a function. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I opened a secure drive I'd created weeks earlier. Inside were mirrored versions of the wardrobe files. Not all. Only the ones that mattered. I didn't plan revenge. I planned balance. Because power isn't about destruction. It's about knowing when someone realizes they are no longer alone in control. The next morning, I placed a single envelope on Alaric's desk. No explanation. Inside was a copy of one file. His file. He didn't call me immediately. That was his second mistake. When he finally did, his voice was calm but no longer amused. "How long?" he asked. "Long enough," I replied. A pause, then quietly, "You've changed." "No," I said. "I've remembered who I was before you." He exhaled slowly. "This makes us equals." I looked at the city through the window, glass towers reflecting sunlight like knives. "No," I said. "This makes us honest." Silence. And in that silence, something irreversible happened. Allard didn't confront me. That was how I knew I had won something, if not freedom, then leverage strong enough to make him hesitate. For 3 days, he avoided me. Meetings were canceled. His assistant wouldn't meet my eyes. The building itself felt tense, like it was holding its breath. On the 4th day, the wardrobe disappeared. Not hidden, gone. The bookshelf was sealed permanently into the wall. No mechanism. No hollow echo. Contractors were brought in under non-disclosure agreements. The space was restructured, repurposed, erased, or so it appeared. Alaric finally called me into his office that evening. "You forced my hand," he said without anger. "You forced mine first." He studied me as if seeing me clearly for the first time. "You understand what happens now?" "Yes," I replied. "You retreat, you minimize." "You survive, and you?" he asked. "I remain." He smiled sadly. "You could destroy me." "I could," I agreed. "But destruction is loud. And loud things don't last." He nodded once. "Then you've learned the final lesson." "What's that?" "That the wardrobe was never the secret," he said. "People are." I stood. "You built an empire on fear." "No," he said softly. "On truth people were afraid to face." I walked to the door, then stopped. "You underestimated me because I didn't want power." "Yes," he admitted. "I wanted dignity," I said. "That's why I won." He didn't respond. 6 months later, Allard Vaughn stepped down quietly. Health reasons, strategic transition. The board praised his legacy. No scandals. No headlines. The wardrobe files were never released. Because I didn't need to expose them, I restructured the system instead. Silent audits. Ethical collapses prevented before they happened. Executives removed without spectacle. Influence redistributed. The hidden mechanisms remained, but under rules. My rules. I still work in that building. No title, no public authority, invisible, but no longer trapped. Sometimes I pass the wall where the wardrobe once was. I place my hand against it and feel nothing, just solid structure. That's how it should be. Secrets don't disappear. They evolve, and power doesn't belong to those who collect it. It belongs to those who know when not to use it. My name is Jasmine. I am 45 years old, and this story doesn't end with shock. It ends with survival. The end.